Bashers, bashers. It's coming up soon. We just haven't gotten it done yet, guys. Apologies for being late today. It's not usually something that I do. Unfortunately, we had some signal problems with my guest tonight, and Laverne wasn't feeling well, so I think I've got that sorted out, and I hope I do for the hour, so I can concentrate on you. As you've all seen, tonight's topic I've been wanting to get to for a while, and it's about faith. Now, what is faith? Faith is that the Mets won't suck this year. That's why I temporarily have that hat on. Now I'll get rid of it. Put it on backwards so I look like a hoodlum. Faith in marriage. Faith in everything. But what is faith? Faith is hoping your wife or your husband will be faithful. Faith has so many different connotations and so many different leanings. But what is faith? It's hope. And where did hope come from? Where did hope start? In the evolution of mankind, it makes you wonder what the first signal was where our species became hopeful. I would imagine it was on the plains or in the jungles when we were hunting. We would hope that we would get to eat. We would hope to take down that animal that would supply nourishment for our tribe. I would probably die because I'd just be hunting carrots. Or would I? Would I have the consciousness? I'm sure I wouldn't. I would just be an instinctual beast like we all were and we are to some degree. Tonight's special guest is a lifelong friend of mine. We grew up together in Queens. I grew up in a traditional mother, father, brothers and sisters household. He grew up with a sister and a single mom and was raised in kind of the projects. Not the projects like you'd think you see on television. It's just a project. And projects were originally built for people who needed a leg up. Not like drug dealers and Grand Theft Auto 4. It's not that. It's apartment buildings for people who need help. And his mom was a single mom. She has a great story too. I mean, maybe he'll delve into that, where she became kind of a businesswoman way out on Long Island and Fire Island. It's a very fascinating story. I could use a refresher on it myself. But my friend Jay is a drummer extraordinaire. I've played with him many, many times. We never played earlier on because I was in a band and he had a bunch of different bands, but we always knew we'd play together. And when I left, or when Hitman dissolved, and I started a project for my solo record, he was my first choice as a drummer. We have the same taste in music. We have the same taste in the universe. We have the same taste in a lot of stuff. We have a different take on faith, but I think it comes full circle. I think and he's gone a little deeper into his soul. I tend not to look as inward as he did. And I practiced yoga for 15 years and I always just felt like, I wanted to smack everybody after I was done with it. And I hated yoga people, thought they were annoying, except for a few. But he's a spiritual guy and he's found a particular place where he's now got a TikTok channel, and I'll post the link before the end of the show, where he's the one called Jay, and he's got over 2.5 million views and millions of followers. The guy's like incredible. I think he's up to, I think his subscription is 275,000, but his views are out of control, and they're daily affirmations. He's taking a break right now to reassess things, and I'd like to welcome him to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my dear friend, JS. Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm good, Dirk. I'm good, man. Thank you so much. That's a really nice introduction. And I just have to say something right off the bat. You were talking about cavemen before, that whole type of attitude. You mentioned they hope they have something to eat that night. I think it also that innate fear that we have,
Sure,
that primitive mindset. I hope I don't get eaten tonight. We always had that fear mindset.
Sure.
I think that's what hope kind of stems from, is we had to have something to oppose that fear, and we kind of just projected it out. But what's up, man? How are you, dude? Nice to meet you.
I'm good. We had a fun time trying to get this sorted out today. I'm
Oh,
not going to
man.
I'm not going to bore people with stuff, but Jay is an extraordinarily technological guy, and I am too. And between the two of us, we were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, Illinois internet is the main culprit too. But yeah, it's a great subject. It's just faith and spirituality. And I also love that you said after yoga, you wanted to slap people, because for me, it's gone way too far. You know, you scroll social media and you've got people waving their hands at the screen and they think that somebody's really healing them and doing something. And I'm not joking.
Oh, like faith healers and that kind
Oh,
of.
it just goes, it just goes so far beyond
Well, what a
anything
delicious
that's
road we're going to walk
logically.
down to talk about these
Yeah.
charlatans and
So yeah, I'm glad
people
to
who
be here.
prey on faith. Because that's a problem.
That's for me, that's a big thing. I just made a video about that today, the spiritual entrepreneurs and the spiritual hacks and frauds that just feed off hopes and fears for their own money. But that's been going around since, the dawn of man. As soon as somebody realized they can kind of manipulate and pull something on somebody, we've been doing it ever since, and
Sure.
spirituality is huge. It's huge.
Well,
It's huge.
entrepreneurs started like the oldest business. If the oldest business in the world is being a prostitute, then the second oldest business in the world is being a faith healer or a snake oil salesman.
And they go hand in hand. They really do.
Well, sure. You got to give the people what they want. What are they looking for? Not to be crass. They want God and pussy.
And and I was going to text you earlier and say, hey, is cursing allowed? But
yeah, cursing's allowed.
So
I won't get that endorsement that I was looking for from a big company for me to go. That's okay. No, today's show is brought to you by
Kellogg's. Fuck that. So that's the thing, though. Faith. Like, if you really look up the definition of faith, it's having a belief in something that is out there, exterior, in someone or something else. And for me, my faith lies within, but we've been born and raised to not trust our own inner voice, to not have faith in ourselves, to your mom, your dad, your teacher, the school teacher, your elders, faith in everybody else. And for me, spirituality in of itself, it's a very personal kind of a thing. But I think even religious people are spiritual. They believe in something that's beyond the physical and material, right? And they have faith in some it's extraterrestrial, some it's some guy who's going to float down from the sky and things like that. And I don't mean to be, demeaning about any of that, but I just think that people have gotten so stretched thin that they keep looking in the exterior world for that person to hand wave and heal them, or somebody to read that affirmation that just resonates with them, and then they think they're on that right path. But the more we go into the exterior world looking for it, the further we're getting away from the real essence of it, in my opinion. I
agree. Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of, people who are susceptible to cults. I think it's a certain kind of person. And, because I'm a smart ass Irish guy from Queens, I've got kind of this bug in my ass about people trying to tell me about faith and, trying to turn me on to their faith. And I usually, answer with a dismissive quip. My favorite one always being somebody would come up to me on the street and say, "Have you found Jesus?" And I would always say, "I never lost him. And I never did a bag of cocaine either."
That's I love that you said that, because a lot of times people always think, they're like, well, how can you not believe in Jesus? And I turn on, when did I ever say that? Right. I just don't believe that. I think his teachings have been greatly manipulated and twisted, and I don't think he would have been crazy enough to look at people and say, I'm the only way to the divine.
He was the polar opposite of what most of those morons talk about. The judgment. There was no judgment. He hung around with thieves and gays and a prostitute, and he was completely the most, as far as I didn't know him personally, but as far as we know from the original teachings of Jesus, not the bastardizations and all the crap that people do now. The people nowadays with the big, the what is that, Westboro Baptist, that show up at Sailors and Ronnie James Dio's funeral, and good people. When good people die, they say God hates fags. Well, God doesn't hate
No,
anyone.
I don't think. Yeah, I agree with you. No, I
It's, I
don't.
mean, but that's how they rope them in. That's their tagline.
Yeah,
It's
I
their
don't
it's
even.
their brand slogan. Because you hate fags too. Oh, well, guess what? You join the Westboro Baptist Church. We love Jesus and we hate fags. It's
Yeah,
great.
no.
You hate blacks and Jews. Great, come on in. We hate them too. Bring them on in.
Well, the
It's a
kind of
it's
funny
a
thing is I'm sorry. No, no, go ahead.
no,
Go,
no.
please.
I'll go off on a tangent. But those kind of people, I always go, and I've had arguments with people um, about like being Christ-like. I go, you are the least Christ-like people or person I have ever met, because the teachings and the whole ethos of Jesus Christ is to be forgiving and non-judgmental and to welcome you. It's a hug. It's not a slap. And this is it's just a way for people to make money. And I hate that. It just drives me crazy.
And it's funny because he was literally killed and crucified for doing exactly what you're doing right now, telling and teaching people that they are the way to the divine. Don't buy into this exterior bullshit. Don't believe in this. I mean, he's an ordained rabbi, right? But the
Yeah.
church, the church at the time was completely just irate with him. They wanted him because he was healing and using techniques on homeless people and lepers that he shouldn't be. The rulers of the land at the time wanted him because he was speaking out against that kind of control.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I think
The
that
Romans
whole
were
aspect,
afraid of him.
but yeah, now he's just that poster boy. You know what I mean?
The Romans were afraid of them, and if you go by Mel Gibson's film and a lot of other things, the Jews were jealous of him.
I
He was,
love that movie. I really do. I love that
I
movie.
mean, it's
I
a
do.
tough watch, it's a
It's a
tough watch. But
hard
you know
watch.
what? He was a competitor in a sea full of, we didn't know what we were doing. We were still, beasts in that time, getting, turning order, chaos into order back then. There was, you see the scenes where, people are gambling and there's all this crazy stuff, and he would just walk in, everybody would stop. I wonder if Jesus Christ, and we'll get off the Jesus Christ thing because this is about
Yeah,
faith and spirituality, and there's not
yeah.
just one particular,
Sure,
like if
sure.
Xenu's your thing, knock yourself out, kid. Yeah. But if for example, the Son of God, be it what it is, came to Earth, he would immediately be arrested and murdered and shot, and he would have no chance of any kind of having any legitimacy. People would call him a fraud, and unless he did, turned water into wine and all that stuff in front of people. But now they just say, oh, it's deep fake, or it's
Right,
impossible because
right,
the truth is no
right,
longer provable because
right.
some people say it's fake news and all that stuff. And that's the smartest thing that Donald Trump ever did, and he was right, and it worked to his advantage in some regards. But he was right about the news left and right both being completely fake, and it got to the point now. But unfortunately, the end result is that now when somebody says, well, he was shot in the head point blank and it's on video, that's not him, that's not my son. And people are fighting in the street, because now when you have actual proof of something, you can't prove it's true. And I think our faith and our spirituality has been tested, so technology has not helped at all. Proof of what is proof? What is proof of God? Proof, there'll never be a proof of God. There will only be a proof of your individual and inner faith and what works for you and why you found it. People who, the Scientologists, they're still after me. And even after I wrote them a letter saying I was dead, I was audited by the Church of Scientology like 20 years ago because my friend was involved, and he said, it'll be fun. Come on down. And
Oh God.
I went down and I went through like 1,000 questions. About 600 of them were the same question, just kind of reversed. It was just absolute and utter garbage. But hey, if it works for people, I'm not going to judge somebody because they're into it. It's great. I love Tom Cruise movies. I love him. It's great. From what I know, he doesn't ever try to get people into his
Love him.
faith. Great.
Love
Love
him.
him. Now, me too. So they send me letters, and like constantly I get all these Scientology form letters. And well, come on back. I was never there, man. You never had me. But I have a particular faith. I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
Am I a Catholic now? I think kind of when once a Catholic, always a Catholic, lapsed Catholic, Catholic with caveats. What was your religious upbringing in your home?
My dad was my dad was absent, but my dad was a Protestant. My mom was raised Irish Catholic, and
Mhm.
she went to Catholic school. You know, she had the ruler across the hand and the whole 9 yards. You know, so she had that kind of almost I don't want to use the word psychotic, but psychotic sternness in her too. But
Uh-huh.
so I was raised as a kid. I was raised initially Catholic, St. Nick's. I went to St. Nick's right on Union Turnpike,
Sure. St.
and
Nicholas of
I
Tolentine, of course.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble. Religious instructions. You know, Wednesdays the bus would pick us up from school at like 2 o'clock, right on Wednesdays, and take you to religious instructions. Well, that's what they did for us kids in the projects, anyway. So I went there, and in the teachings, the nuns were talking about Adam and Eve, and Cain slew Abel, and went over the 7 hills, and his wife. And I was like, whoa, 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 a little kid. I was like, if God created them, Adam and Eve, where'd those other people? They asked my mom to not have me come back. So then I started going to the Protestant church in the neighborhood.
Uh,
Um, and then after that, I kind of was like, you know what? I don't belong in any of these places. It's funny you said politics before, because faith in politics is huge too, man. It's
sure.
crazy.
They sit well
It's
together in
crazy.
bed. Yeah.
And
They're good
it's
bedfellows.
that you said it right. Like, if you had to put faith in a nutshell, it's hope, and in most cases, sadly enough, it's hope in something else other than yourself. You know, it's really that to me is kind of the whole problem with spirituality and humanity. We're
Mhm.
constantly waiting for a politician, a preacher, somebody, a boyfriend, a girlfriend to come along and better our lives, make me feel happier.
Or get
You
caught
know,
with a hooker.
yes, yeah. I'm going to Vegas this weekend, but no.
Yeah, he's going to see the U2 Sphere show.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait. I can't wait. But you know, spirituality, Dirk, it's interesting. I know you were raised Catholic and stuff like that. We talked about that a long time, and you're right, because you're not a typical Christian. You know what I mean? You
No.
do have an incredibly broad. So I would say you're more of a spiritual person who has like Christian roots. You know,
There
influences.
actually I would consider myself, honestly, and this is probably revelatory or shocking to you, I still
Sure.
consider myself Catholic. I still occasionally go to church. I do this when I go past the church. I
Yeah, I
do
do it when
this
I
when
pray.
Laverne doesn't feel well. I have a little prayer time. I do these things, and it's never for me personally, but I guess it is in a way.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I always pray for something else, but uh, it's just something that was embedded for going through 12 years of Catholic education and being an
Right.
altar boy and loving the theater. Probably one of the reasons why my band was theatrical in the beginning with bombs and costumes and stupid shit. Not only because of the Kiss thing, but because I loved the robes and the candles and the lighting. I really enjoyed all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
But I would
beautiful
consider
too.
myself a Catholic. I take all the stuff that I like from it and I
Yeah,
throw all the other shit away, you know.
yeah.
But
I agree.
spiritually,
There you go. That's
you know,
good.
you and I agree on a lot of stuff. And there is a story. I don't know if you're willing to tell it on the show,
What is
but
it?
I'll get to it. We also are, we're very, very, very big um, astrophysics guys, scientific guys. We love
Yeah.
everything involving space and the planets and the cosmos. And, you know, me and Manuel Sheen, big time, Jay, we like to talk about, you know, Fermi paradoxes and all the stuff about the universe. And if there's a God, like if we discover life on another planet, does that negate the whole God concept? Or
Not
do
at
we
all.
use,
That's
no,
funny.
not at all, because we think it's everything. So we just
Mm.
haven't been, you know, privy to any of that stuff yet. But would you be willing to discuss certain situation that you encountered?
Which, which one? What are you talking? Yeah, I'm not sure what
You
you're
you
talking about.
you had a close encounter, I guess, of the second kind.
I've had a couple of experiences, but if there's something in particular, go ahead. I'm good. I'm
The
all
one you
ears.
just the one you just told me about last week, where You know, like it was a personal thing to you, and you told me that, and you'd never actually told me the whole story.
Okay,
But you're like,
okay, okay,
I think
okay.
it's
Yeah.
fascinating to people because that has a lot to do with faith. Because are we alone? Where is,
So,
well, as Fermi said, as Enrico Fermi said, where is everybody?
yeah, you're talking about September 16, 2016, 8:06 p.m.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll talk about that. I've written about it and talked about it, and I can really kind of nutshell it for you too. I just mentioned this to Elizabeth the other night. So we were just
That's his
talking
wife,
about
by the way.
this. Yeah, my wife. I think it was yesterday, and I was saying the same thing about that whole Jodie Foster end of contact thing. So anyway, yeah. Long story short. And before I even say this story, I fully acknowledge that it's impossible. And my point with Elizabeth was, you know what? If somebody came up to me and said they saw a yogi float or somebody walk across water, I can never call bullshit again because I experienced something that could not happen. So, and when I say cannot happen, physically, mentally, spiritually, cannot happen. September 16, 2016, my mother was visiting up from New York. Elizabeth was inside feeding Sagan. He was just born a few
That's his
months.
son.
Yeah, my son Sagan, named after Carl Sagan. And we had just recently gotten Walter, my dog. And it was a really spiritually heightened summer for me. We'll just leave it at that. And no drugs, nothing like that, no chemicals, no hallucinations. I walked outside on my deck, Dirk. No joke. And you've known me for a long time, dude. I would take 100 lie detector tests tomorrow in a row. I walked off my deck and I had this really weird feeling, this like crazy heightened sense. And I was having all these kind of images and thoughts around that time. And I asked myself, walking off the deck, I just said out loud, I meant, man, is this like a future version of myself? Is it aliens? Is it a divine being? Swear to you. Walked off the deck. I had a headlight, flashlight on because we lived up in Connecticut in the woods. It was dark.
Yeah, he
I'm
lived in the
looking,
woods. I've been there.
I'm looking around. It's dark. I felt really kind of spooky and creepy. So I look up and I'm looking at the stars. And I swear to you, man, on my family, everything I've ever had in my life and have, I looked at this really dim star. And in an instant, dude, the light just burst over me. I looked down, dude, in panic. I thought like fucking aliens were about to run up and grab me and drag me off. I pulled Walter to me. I looked back up, and right next to that star was another little dim star, and it did it again, man. An absolute pulse of light. I freaked out, and I'm gonna start to cry, dude. Instead of in that moment speaking about faith, I have always asked since I'm a kid, if I ever get this sign that is just, there's no doubt about it, I will devote my life to being that person. And instead of dropping to my fucking knees in that moment, I freaked out, ran in the house, screamed what I saw past my mom, went into the bedroom. I told Elizabeth, and then I like put my face in lap and just started bawling like a baby, dude. And what I experienced, dude, I've looked at those two stars on my star chart. They exist. There's no way that could have happened, dude. There's no way. And I swear to you, man, it happened on my entire life. So that's the story, man. I mean,
So
it's good.
now, when you tell that story, the artist, so-called artist in me, instantly thinks, Close Encounters. I start to see cinema. I start to like I see the scene in my head, but what I can't see is what's going on in yours. So,
Yeah.
what were you thinking that
Okay.
was?
First of all, what it looked like, and this is great. You ever see the movie Phenomenon with John Travolta?
Yeah, sure.
Remember when he sees that burst of light over him? That's
Yeah.
what it looked like. I was telling Elizabeth, it was complete full umbrella of light, white with spectrum. I could see the red and green. I thought there was like a drone or something. When I looked back up the second time after the first time, and I looked up before the second time, I expected to see like a drone or something flying. And I was looking and I was like, no, there's a star next to that. And boom, again. And I freaked, dude. I freaked the fuck
So,
out,
are
dude,
you
and ran
talking
around.
about like a beam of extraordinary light?
Just like my hands going over the camera, it was just
Uh-huh.
a beam of light, man. Like if you looked into a stadium light. Yep, twice. So what was going through my head in
Did
that
you think
moment,
it
dude?
was a supernatural experience? Did you think it was an alien experience? Did you think it was some
First,
kind
I
of
thought when I saw it the first time, I thought it was extraterrestrial. When I saw it the second time, I didn't know what happened, but I was scared. I honest to God, I was nervous because we talked about astrophysics. We love the universe, cosmos, all of this.
yeah?
It can't happen. So I bolted into the house, and every single day, dude, every single day, when I wake up in the morning, before I go to bed at night, I try to make the last thing I say is thank you. And when I wake up in the morning, I try to have my first thought just be thank you. That is always, it's right there, dude. And it's the reason I get up every day and make videos and try and connect with people and just help them out because I don't know, man. I don't know. I just said to Elizabeth, the question I ask now is why me? What that answered for me is there something beyond this world? Is there something beyond our life? And for me, that's without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh,
There
it was that
is
powerful that you think that. I know
no
you've
doubt
had
about
other
it.
experiences too. I, on the other hand, have never had any kind of experience like that, but I welcome it. And I I've often
O'Sheen and
said,
I, O'Sheen and I have seen the same thing once too. The Silver Spheres. He saw one in New York, and I saw them
yeah,
in
he
Connecticut,
has.
and that's
He's got a
mine.
great story about it.
It's mind blowing, man. It's mind. So that's what I mean. Like this is, when I
Hey,
spirit thought is real
if you're
personal.
watching the show, Sheen, and you want to come in and tell everybody about that story, come on in
Yeah, it was
because it's a
great. It
great
was
one
great.
too. Because I, from when you just told me you were going to name your son Sagan, because Carl Sagan, my favorite book is Pale Blue Dot and Contact. I don't read novels. I hate
Yeah,
fiction. I like
yeah,
sci-fi, but I don't like
yeah.
fiction. Of course, I read that and loved it because I love everything. He was the most beautiful human that's ever walked the face of this earth because
Yeah,
he
it's
didn't
genius, man.
delineate between he believed there was God and there was science. He pushed the two of them together, and he didn't have to have one without the other. And I think that that's so necessary. Like Matthew McConaughey's character, which was amplified in the film and kind of dragged the movie down for me with his whole southern religious bullshit and kind of just I hated that about the
Do
movie.
you love your dad? Prove it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You just hit the nail on the head. Science and religion. I really believe the truth is both together. And somehow, long ago, somebody really got smart to that and said, "Let's separate the two and just fuck everybody up forever." And that's why we're all running
Who would have
around
done that? One of the great minds when we were all savages, and then there was Aristotle and Plato, and like
somebody in Persia. I
who
don't
would have done that?
know.
Right? So, because we were savages, but there were these amazing sage people that were
It's crazy. It's
creating
crazy.
languages and civilizations and stuff like that. I have
So
always begged the cosmos to come to me, but because I don't live, I feel, and I'm a crazy Star Trek aficionado because it's science fiction that has become a lot of it has become reality. I'm not a big Star Wars guy anymore because that's fantasy, and fantasy doesn't interest me. Because fantasy, you can make up your own fantasies. I love when sci-fi is based on actual or probable scientific data and knowledge and things
sure,
that could
sure,
happen.
sure.
I begged the cosmos. I wouldn't mind an abduction. I just want to be in. I just want to know so bad, and I don't think being a lapsed Catholic. I wouldn't even say that. I do go to Easter. I do go for Palm Sunday. I do go for not all the time, but I try to go. Ash Wednesday. I try to never miss it. I always miss Saint
Mhm.
Blaise, which is the patron saint of singers. I always miss that. Um, there's certain things about the church that I like, and there's a lot that I don't. But that's true of any kind of company. It's like I love my job, but I hate my boss. She's a witch. Or I like my wife, but we can't love everything about everything we're involved in. Everything has its pluses and minuses. If it helps people on a spiritual path, like Mary, our good friend Mary, that I grew up on
Sure,
Utopia Parkway, right?
sure,
She
sure.
has, as I affectionately refer to her as Giselle. She's my oldest GFF. She has she has grown children. She had a recent breakup in her marriage, and she has found Catholicism in a very, very spiritual way. She goes on these retreats. She goes and she gets cloistered. She creates things with these nuns and these monks, And in her second half of her life, it has given her inner peace and beauty. And what was it before? Rock and roll, booze, sex. She liked a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
like everybody liked, back in the
Yeah.
day. But
That's what it's all about, dude. For me, spirituality is finding that place within where you are content.
where you're
Where
content, right?
I don't need somebody else to make me happy. Elizabeth doesn't make me happy; she amplifies my happiness. You know what I mean? I don't rely on that.
I'll edit that part out of the show.
No, it's okay. See, it's the same for her.
Yeah.
We're not here. Yeah, you're right, though, dude. It's I don't know.
I mean,
Spirituality is
because
very personal.
it's such a broad term, faith, spirituality. Like,
That's the thing,
like
too.
I had a Mets hat on because they suck and they always break our heart. You always hope you make a good record. You always hope that you won't get mugged. You always hope you won't have that. I had this problem for a while. I was taking aspirin before I went to bed every night because I was like, I hope I don't have a heart attack while I'm sleeping. And that's like a weird thing. And sometimes people turn to God. I've never had a drug problem because I've never used drugs. I drink occasionally, not a lot. So I know people who find themselves in a very bad way. Like I had a very, very shitty year for a lot of reasons. But I have faith. I guess most of my faith is in people because I found, like, stuff that went on with my apartment, this terrible landlord situation I have. And, people have rallied around and I've gotten an amazing amount of love and support from people. So I think as I get older, and listen, I really think everyone needs to pay everything forward. Any act of kindness that comes your way, send that out tenfold. It doesn't.
Right.
I did a whole episode on kindness, and
Right.
it was a really good one. And there's absolutely no reason. You're one of the kindest people that I know, and I only surround myself with kind people because why would I want to be friends or involved in a situation? And I have been with people who aren't kind. I just think that hope and faith in people and humanity is all we really have until the beacon shines down on us and the great light illuminates the way, or Allah or whomever. It reminds me of like we were talking earlier about look at this, right? I can pull these up. Look who's watching the show right now.
Who
Russ
is that? Oh,
Snow.
Russ.
Mr. Russ Swag. Hey, baby cakes. That's he was the bass player when I had a solo band. That was my rhythm section. I love you, man, very, very much. He's also one of the kindest people I've ever known.
That's it, though, dude. You said it. Faith and hope, and if we interpret faith and hope like faith and hope in humanity or people or yourself, it's kindness, it's compassion, it's treating people without holding them hostage to our expectations and ultimatums, allowing them freedom to be who they want. So I completely agree with you, but it really is something that we have to all come to terms with in ourselves. We have to find that peaceful place to truly be able to have faith. If you just keep, I just put my faith in this and faith in this out there, then when do you come into play? When do you come into your own story?
Yeah.
So there is that fine line. But I agree with you, dude. I bless myself. I pray. As speaking of Russ, he asked me today what religion I am. I said, well, if I had to put a label on it for Hallmark, I would say it would be more like a Christo-Buddhist. You know what I mean? I believe in.
I would say me too. Yeah. Because you like the whole Jesus thing. Because I love Jesus as a construct.
Absolutely.
I mean, he was the baddest ass motherfucker there ever was in the whole wide world, and he had a great musical.
But you know what? I think you're right too, man. If we had faith, more honest faith in each other, we would change our world. When is humanity at its best? When we're at our worst. When it's towers coming down, or an earthquake, or miners trapped, or children being hurt. We all come together. So can you imagine if we just came together for the sake of humanity? It would be incredible, dude. It would be incredible.
Well, that's where like maybe tomorrow's episode should be greed.
Yeah, because that's why we don't have that. because everybody lives for their lifetime. But faith and spirituality, they do go hand in hand for me. It's just having that belief that we are a part of something that does transcend human. And if we project out that love and that energy and kindness around us, that is what's going to come back and resonate for us. And that's what I wake up and try and do every day: treat people the way I want to be treated. And I don't have a specific idol or statue or deity. I have faith in myself and my
Sure. That's a very
family and my
interesting thing.
friends.
Statues and deities and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, even Jesus kind of said, "Don't worship me, worship the one who sent me." Right?
Yeah, which is the religion that puts the that you're not allowed to have statues.
Oh,
Which,
I have no idea.
is that
They're all kind of.
Protestantism? Somebody in the
I don't
chats,
know. I don't
because we
know.
have our statues, because we hired the best artists in the whole wide world to sculpt that stuff for us.
People have cows and
Yeah. Oh,
sacred
sure.
geometry and
Wiccans.
the
Like I have.
object.
Sure. The object. Right now, you're obsessed. Now you're obsessed with the Led Zeppelin
But
object. I bet.
I'm sure there is somebody who has that. I have a monolith. Oh, it's not. I have a replica of the monolith, and I just love that whole concept. But I just don't think we need to have these things. But they could be reminders too. I shouldn't say that. When somebody has a statue of Buddha, or they, something in the house that just reminds them of spirituality, that's a good thing, because if they're really a true spiritual person who has some type of faith, then hopefully they live in a good life. That's kind of the only thing we can ask for, right?
Oh, 100%.
Hmm.
I'm gonna boot up this picture because I want everybody to know what we were talking about. Um, my dear friend Mimi Reckenbeck used to work for Atlantic Records, and she called me up and she said, "Hey, I have one of these things." Now he just mentioned the object. Now the object is an obelisk. Oh, Andrew Volkovich, the first super chat of the night. I get a little ding, ding, ding. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Andrew says, "Great show, great guest. I knew you'd love him. Thanks to you both for reminding
Thank
us
you.
about being grateful and granted inner peace and love ourselves. If you can't love yourself, you can't love nobody else."
That's true. That's it. There you go. That's it. Perfect.
That's some sage thing that we heard. Thank you, Andrew, very much. Thank you. You're the best. Ding, ding, ding. Remember, everybody gets a ding for the super chats. So Led Zeppelin, this was done by Hypnosis in the 70s. It was for a very quick record that the Led Zeppelin did. They were very, very unattached to graphics because Robert Plant had just lost his kid and he was in a bad accident, so he recorded in a wheelchair, and Jimmy was probably high on heroin. This was put together by somebody else, and they were trying to figure out how to promote a record. So they came up with this thing called the object, and that's it. Now, obviously, that's like a superimposed thing on on a record. They just took the airbrushed an album cover. They put that together and they airbrushed something. But what they did do was, I'll show you right now, was they made a bunch of them. Can you see that, guys? Let me get it. Let me get off Amazon. Look, you can buy them on Amazon. How shitty is that?
And I bet you there's people out there who are praying to that
Yeah.
thing.
So what they did was, the concept behind was is they wanted to put this unknown object on their record so people would talk about it. And boy, did they ever. Little splinter churches were starting up and people were starting to get like 2001, which was its inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, we pray to these inanimate objects, and I'm not saying the crucifix is that, because that's very near and dear to a very big population of the world, and it is a beautiful symbol, as is the Star of David, as is the moon and the star. And I mean, everybody has to come up, you have to come up with branding. And unfortunately, there's a lot of branding in religion. And it's tremendous how much branding there is. And in Catholicism, it's the crucifix, and in Islam it's the star and the moon, and these are all things that are, Jesus died on the cross, the sun and the moon and the stars. That's what probably the impetus of why we invented religion to begin with, to
Isn't there like
explain what that is.
3,000 religion? Isn't there like 3,000 like different types of religions or some crazy number like that?
I mean, we could make one tomorrow.
Yeah, so they all have their little symbol and statue and stuff like that. And again, as long as that thing, for me, I don't mind it. You can have the Statue of Liberty in your living room. I don't give a shit. As long as it's reminding you to be a good person,
Yeah,
then all good. But if we look at today, man, politics and everything else, religion is very dividing. It's a lot
sure.
of variations of religion are the complete opposite of what they should be.
People hate you for your religious beliefs.
That so how
I mean, prejudice.
what do you
There is
put
so
faith
much.
in then?
I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, who was a great man and a funny man, and I think he was kind of Archie Bunkerish for the. I think he was in it for the jokes, but he
Right.
used to use words that I grew up with, and now I think about them and I go, "Oh my God, I can't believe some of the stuff he said." But I think he did it more for the comedy angle. If you watch All in the Family now, that show could never be produced ever.
Never, never.
Never. And it was only because he was hitting you over the head with truth bombs. It was
Mm-hmm.
not a show about a racist.
Mm-hmm.
It was about a
Mm-hmm.
show about an ignoramus. It was about a person who needed a teaching every single day. It was a show written by a Jewish man. There were Jew jokes galore. There was I don't know. Are you very familiar with that show?
Me
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
I loved it, man. I
Yeah, sure. I
love
mean,
all
a,
of
a
them.
lot of our friends across the pond wouldn't know it, but it was a show about a kind of curmudgeon-y guy that didn't like, anybody who wasn't like him. And he once had to give mouth to mouth with this woman who passed out in his car, and it turns out she was a transvestite.
Yeah, he was just a grumpy ass, bigoted guy from Astoria, Queens, like a
Right.
thin-skinned New Yorker, who acted tough but it was a great show. I
But
mean,
what a
Agnes.
great thing to be able to present to people in such a plain language that you can't do. Because now we got to dance around, skirt around, don't want to insult anybody. We all need to be insulted more. We all need to
Yeah,
see the ridiculousness of it. I mean, I
yeah,
don't get offended if somebody says, you fucking stupid Mick, blah, 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 homo, blah. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
care. I
yeah.
don't care. You know what? We probably crack more Irish gay jokes than anybody in my house. Who gives a shit? We, as long as you're not hurting or marginalizing somebody by making them feel lesser. And I think that that's the key to, using plain language and not having to dance around a subject and be so politically correct. As long as you are not dismissing or making somebody feel lesser, if you can just put things out in a linear fashion and let people understand points, it's much better. But we're not getting any work done because everybody's afraid of everybody, and nobody says, oh, what you believe in is cool. They just go, well, that guy, he's like a blah 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 online, and he's all right. Like, you have a TikTok channel, which is pretty freaking big. And I
It's all
remember
right. Yeah, it does okay.
it's
Yeah.
a pretty big channel, the one called Jay. Um,
But
Now
even
listen,
that, it's dangerous, man. Even
it's
that is it's insane, the scrolling and shit, dude. That again, people are just putting themselves out there too much, it's crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract
well,
you,
you
but
put yourself out there in a way that I think people who knew you as being like this streetwise Queens guy, um, you are now kind of of an internet spiritual guru to people. And it's not that you try to turn them onto any kind of religion or form of anything like that. What
yep.
you are doing is you are giving daily affirmations and teaching people that how they can find peace from within and with the universe, be at one with the universe. Now, I would imagine that you get a lot of blowback from people who knew you back in the day. Like, I remember somebody even said to me
Oh
once, "Oh, that guy's all hippy dippy now, man. He's
yeah. First, I could give a shit about anybody else's opinion at me about at this point. Yeah, but you're right. I get a lot of. There is a lot of shit. Most of it's behind closed doors, the eye rolling stuff. But you know what? I don't care. I'm a certified meditation teacher. I hold 2 certifications, and that's what I do mostly with people is help them get past just being identifying with thoughts and emotions, right, to that nice place of calmness inside. As far as my own spiritual beliefs, I am not here to form a cult. I'm not here to get anybody to walk.
You're not starting a religion?
No, it's not about, and I say this all the time, it's not about walking my path. It's about me helping you get past the noise and information and finding your path and walking that confidently. That's all I want for people. You know, we all wake up every day identifying with these stupid actions and events we have, and we think well, I'm this person, I'm angry, I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I'm this, and we're none of that. In all truth, we're just a simple energetic awareness that has all this information rolling around our head, and we pick and choose who we want to be and identify based on little events that are happening before us. So I'm none of that shit, and I could care what anybody thinks. And I think everyone should have the opportunity to at least have access to somebody who can help them get there. So that's what I do. But you're right, blowback. I'm sure, I won't name names, but I'm sure some of my best friends in life sit there sometimes and go, who does he think he is? I bet you he thinks his shit don't stink. And that's completely untrue, dude.
It's the opposite of that, because, you know, there's no arrogance involved in that, because getting back to the topic of the whole umbrella is faith, hope. What do you believe in? There are people who walk around and they believe in absolutely nothing, and I almost believe that they might even be happier because they're just it's like a cartoon. How when they have absolutely no concerns about how relevant they are or their loved ones are in the scope of the entire big picture. I'm constantly worried about this, that, or the other, and I rely on my faith to get me through a lot of things. So I just want to make sure that the correct link is www.onewithin1.com. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my website. You can find everyone.
You can find all the links to his channels and stuff, and it's not. He's not trying to indoctrinate you into a cult or any of that.
No, I know. It's somebody once said I'm like an intuitive therapist. I sit, I listen what's going on with somebody's life. I help them go within and see those thoughts. You know, everybody thinks meditation is about not having thoughts and sitting silently, and it's completely untrue. It's about detaching, like Buddha says, right? Detaching from those emotions and thoughts and not letting fear and anger or jealous and happiness or any of that shit control you. So no, I'm not here to indoctrinate anybody. I'm just here to, you know, I want everybody to have a good night's sleep tonight, and I want them to wake up tomorrow feeling really good about who they are and the opportunity that we all fucking get to wake up and we're here. Wherever here is and whoever created it, at the end of it, we all go to the same place. So just be nice, be kind, have faith in yourself and a little bit in each other, and shut the fuck up and stop bitching and complaining so much.
See, that's the way I like to hear it. I like plain talk. I don't like being spoken down to. I like people saying, wake the fuck up. And, you know, well, I'm going to stop for a second because I got to recognize. Here's the big ding, ding, ding. Ray, $2 super sticker. Thanks so much. Ray's one of my regulars, and we've got a lot of great regular listeners. I wanted to continue with Andrew Wolkowicz for a minute because he said, at the end of it all, we can be an inspiration in others' lives and a blessing in their memories when we are gone, or we are just smoke and ash. That's beautiful, man.
That's beautiful.
That's so beautiful. We're just smoke and ash. Be memories in people's lives. Because you know what? We all will be gone. You know, listen, you're in your 50s. Me too. We are now looking ahead at how much life is left. What can we do with life? I know, you know, you have young children. You know, you have a second act, so to speak. You know, and so you got to be around for quite a while if you want to enrich your kids' lives. And you know, his older son from a previous relationship is one of the most well-grounded, smartest, most interested people. And I always say the most fascinating people to me are the people that are interested. And I stress that a lot. I say, be interested. And it doesn't matter what it is. You could be interested in like watches. You could be interested in cars, guitars, charities. You could be interested in the cosmos. You could be interested in basket weaving or anything. Just be interested when you hear something you don't know about, a new language. Being interested is the thing that moves me in life. I've always been like obsessed with something. if at one time it was like when I was a kid, I wanted to be, like the best singer in town. And then I wanted to be the best downhill, bicyclist. And then, I wanted, you got to accumulate information. And one thing I thought about many years ago was I never did that with religion or faith because I always felt very comfortable with my relationship with God, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like, I'm not an
Mm-hmm.
asshole. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
an asshole. I'm a good
Mm-hmm.
person. I think
Mm-hmm.
when I get my what was that great movie with Meryl Streep and Einstein is his real name. Of course I can remember his real name. When he goes up and God judges him and you go through all the flashbacks of
Defending your life.
defending your life. Yeah. It's an amazing movie.
It's
So
a great
when you
movie.
go there and they're like St. Peter's there and you're at the gates or whatever, incarnation of judgment is for you. And we did a thing on judgment. You know what? Like, I mean, we did some stupid shit when we were kids. We used to get in Larry's car and break a couple of mailboxes and smash a couple of pumpkins. And I feel an incredible amount of guilt now about that.
Especially for egging people and squirting them with fire extinguishers.
We had this fire extinguisher, and we used to fill it up with water, and we would just go around in Larry's car and squirt people with it. Because we were a bunch of hoodlums from Queens, and we would laugh, and we'd go down to the Hotel Bristol where all the prostitutes were. I mean, yeah, he's laughing now, but we were 14-year-old hoodlums.
But you know what, Dirk, it goes hand in hand. You just were saying something before about bicycling and wanting to be a singer. Look, I tell people all the time, and we're gluttons for punishment, man. Yeah. And speaking of spirituality and faith, having faith in yourself. This is how stupid we are. You and me right now, and every single person who ever sees this video, you can sit down that pros and cons list. You can write down all the things you don't like about yourself, the world, music, people, and then you can take the other side and write all your hopes and dreams and all the things you want to do. And I tell people all the time, why don't you do that and then avoid that other side of the list like the fucking plague and slowly start living off that other side, just doing the things that make you feel good and bring you joy. Because if you're feeling good, you are that light, like your buddy just said there, your guest, your viewer, you become that light that illuminates the darkness around you. You know what I mean? You really do, if you're feeling joy. So that's what it's all about for me. But yeah, everybody can. Every single person who sees this, you know what you love and enjoy with life. So why keep focusing on all the horrors and the negative shit when you have the ability to make the choice for yourself? Don't blame anybody else. You know what I mean?
Why doesn't everybody feel that way? Because they haven't been told. Nobody told them that. They would rather go down the garden path where the guy says, "Give me your money." It always reminds me of this quote, and you'll know it. You'll know it well. And I say this all the time to my friends who don't know this record very well. And I always go, "I want you to reach deep into your hearts and your pocketbook and take his hands."
Yeah. You know what I do? Like you just said something before that was interesting. Like I sometimes think people, like I think there might be two types of humans, like consciousness. Some are like NPCs, like the non-playable characters in a video game, or just like the background characters in the movie. They come in and they just go through life. This is what I believe, and they regurgitate it. And then you got the main characters, the ones who are, I hate to use this word, but aware, awake, woke. I'm joking, but
yeah, that's a scary thing for me.
You have this whole part of humanity that's just on autopilot, and then you've got people who are consciously thinking. How's that? There's a better way to say it. And I look at it as like that video game or movie thing. The background characters, the non-player characters. That's why I think we're in some crazy ass.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole if we go there.
Let me get the super sticker out of the way first. Nathaniel Hannon, who's a friend and a loyal Oceaniast and iBashery. He's a Bashy. Nathaniel Hannon 49. He's tuning in late. Where the hell have you been? We started late, half an hour late. Well, I hope you like it. I'm actually recording this tonight. I'm using the new StreamYard recording service because in case any kind of glitches happen, what it does is it records the whole show in high def and then it saves it to their servers. So when it gets put up on YouTube, which is instantly, but it only does it so there's no glitches and everything's perfect. So we're trying that out. But
Nice.
as Jay just said, going down that rabbit hole, that is a rabbit hole about are we living in a simulation? I mean,
that's a word. I don't know. That's anything we explain is always going to be within the capacity of our vocabulary, right? So I don't know if simulation is the right word, but I believe whatever we do exist in is some type of combination of technology and biology. I don't think we would have one or the other without it. You know what I mean? But you're going to want to kick me in the ass for this one because the only way I can explain it, the simplest way I explain it is I don't think there's this other place. I think whatever we exist in is almost like a consciousness itself. Like the nothingness became aware. Literally true nothingness became self-aware and manifested everything within itself. To put a hallmark, we exist in the mind of God. But I do think that it is technology and biology, right? We didn't use nails and hammers. It didn't use a chemistry set. There was no Home Depot. So how is everything here? You know what I mean? So, I think we're also so far into it. You know, I think we're so far down that creative cycle that even us as a species, look, we're on the cusp of creating technology that we're going to be able to transfer our consciousness into digitally created worlds and environments. So who's to say we didn't come from
is it going to be
else?
Is it going to be USB-C or what is it, or Thunderbolt?
I don't know, but I'm going in. I'd go in. I'll dive into the Matrix. I'll jump in.
I'm always wondering, like, when are we going to finally find the interface that we're able to, like, shit, I'm on my way to Spain. Can you just load me up with advanced Spanish? You know what I mean?
Isn't that what Elon Musk is trying to do right now with his chip?
Is he trying to do that?
He's got that chip. I mean, get that chip and hook yourself up to ChatGPT.
You know what? Honestly, I kind of ignore him. Does he have a chip implanted in his head?
He's got Starlink is his satellite company.
His satellites,
yeah. Neuralink. Yeah.
Oh, Neuralink. Well, that's definitely going to happen. I mean, I remember watching my older sister Pat, loved to watch ABC soap operas. So when I was a kid, I'd come home at 3:30 and have our snack. Yeah, it was Ryan's Hope, All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital, and The Edge of Night. And I remember on One Life to Live, there was this character, and I'll never forget it. Some things just in your brain. Whereas this girl, Cassie, was in a car accident and she was pregnant, and they took her fetus and they implanted it in her best friend and she carried it. And I was like, and they were calling it, well, now that you're her surrogate. And of course, this was science fiction at the time.
Oh, wow.
It was not a thing. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, you want to come in here? Yeah, it was science fiction. And I love that. It's incredible. I mean, things that weren't true are true now. It's unbelievable.
Like that's why Star Trek. I mean,
Star Trek,
that. And we're walking around with something that except with minus teleporting, we have something that's better than a communicator. You know what I mean?
Well, this is all very sci-fi. This is all 1964-65 World's Fair, where you're going to be able to have what was it called back then? I'll get shot for not remembering this, but like we were going to have video phones. It was going to be video phones. You see all those great, he's in the space link. You watch 2001, and there's a Pan Am sign, which is sad because that's gone. He's on the Pan Am shuttle. But things that come to fruition. When you say simulation, I know you don't like the word simulation, but it always reminds me of Dr. Seuss. Horton Hears a Who. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Right. We are here. We are here. Maybe we are just this, the cosmos, or, we just know about like the local group and the observable, the observable universe. That's all we know. And we're guesstimating that that's maybe 1/1,000,000th of the total size of the universe. Nothing can be forever, right? Can it be forever? Or maybe we're just this dot on this piece of pollen that is falling off the tree, and one day it's just all going to go splat and that'll be the end of that.
It's funny. You ever catch like dust floating in like the sunlight?
Sure.
You know?
I think about it. That's when I think about it.
Sometimes when I look at that, I think to myself, is one of those little dust particles like some reality or existence or life form out there? I think about that all the time. There's a scene in Cosmos in the the one with Neil deGrasse Tyson where they start showing the universe and they zoom out and it's in like this little bubble and then it zooms out and there's like thousands and millions and trillions of them bubbles and they zoom out and it's like a waterfall, and it's kind of the same thing. We're just like this speck in this cosmic ocean. But as far as going on infinite, I don't know. I think they think that isn't the theory that there is like a super massive giant black hole at the center of it that sooner or later is going to suck us all up.
It's going to take a while. I mean, I think we pretty much now know that the center of every galaxy is a black hole. So now black holes are the thing that the constant in the universe, that it's a centrifuge that in every single, spiral galaxy, they're in the center of that. We've even changed how we feel about event horizons and what happens there with the stretching of time and space. And, it used to be, oh, it's a wormhole. No, it's a place where you get crushed. But who's to say that your matter being crushed isn't interdimensional? I mean, we don't understand any of this yet. So, and you and I will never know.
I love it though.
I'm obsessed with faster than light travel. I mean, I probably look at some article on faster than light travel every single day of my life because all I want to do is be able to figure out that we could go to other star systems and find life on other planets.
My dad was obsessed with speed of light. He was obsessed with that, my father.
It's a fascinating thing. And there's that one Mexican astrophysicist, Alcubierre, and he's Alcubierre actually. And he's got the closest thing. And what is it based on? It's based on a warp bubble. It's based on Star Trek science. It's Gene Roddenberry. So wouldn't that be funny if that's the way we get around it? Mr. Badgas gives $4.99. You get the big ding. Pondering the what is that? Inoperables? Musk's I don't know what that means. INP. Imponderables. Pondering the imponderables. Musk so far has only implanted terminal chips to try to regain functions long. Of course, I mean,
like Alzheimer's and stuff. That's what he's going for. The first is that whole aspect. It's great.
That would be great because it's my mom had. We don't really know what the impetus was. She didn't have like classic Alzheimer's or dementia. It was probably predicated on the fact that she was overdosed on medication and died and was Narcaned back. So she had brain damage, and that was the last 6 years of her life. And to watch somebody, kind of forget. I have a neighbor that I take care of, and I'm slowly watching her forget.
Oh wow, Rose.
Yeah,
Rose.
Yeah,
right. Wow.
She's
really?
She's constantly saying stuff to me like, Dirk, you told me this, or you told me that, or I'm like, what? I never did that, because she's trying to come up with an explanation for things she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like the cavemen and the stars, and they decided that obviously it must be God. Somebody just said, who's it? Asheen told me a funny joke a couple of weeks ago, and it was funny. It was a dog and a cat are at a bar and they're having a conversation, and the dog goes, "Oh man, I was wandering the streets and I went in this house and they give me food and water and a place to sleep. Those people must be gods." And the cat goes, "You're an idiot. I walked into a house. They give me food, water, a place to sleep. I must be God."
That's kind of the gist of it, man. That's at the end of the day, that's what I think we all are. Just, little extensions, physical manifestations of that one, It loans us a little bit of its energy to be here, So instead of being here being a dick, why don't we be kind of nice about things, right? Jim Carrey said it best.
Hey, you're getting a question. This happens all the time. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but our viewers throw a couple of questions, and you're gonna love this one. I don't know who the second person one is. I think Lars Ulrich or Kai Hato. Do you know who Kai Hato is?
Lars Ulrich or Kai? I don't, but I'll say Kai Hato if it's in comparison to Lars Ulrich.
You know, it's funny, and I'm no disgrace to Lars, because he's obviously forged a pretty great career
Dude, he's
for
the
himself.
fucking drummer for Metallica. You know,
I know.
we can
Yeah.
talk all the shit we want about him.
And I watched him play drums in a dirty room while he was eating out of a can of pork and beans
Oh,
when he
wow.
was
Okay.
down when I was with Anthrax, when they were down in the
Yeah.
Jamaica Music Building.
Jeez.
I mean, it was, that guy was just, you know, and he was like that. He was just like that back then.
Yeah,
But
I feel bad for the guy.
I don't feel bad for him. He's worth $800 million.
That's true. Wow, is he really?
And he's got
Jesus.
Kandinsky and he's an art collector. He's got Liechtenstein. He's got all this crazy Mondrian. He's a modern art collector. Hey, he's a smart businessman. You know what? All the musicians all the really great, like, how rich do you think Neil Peart was when he died? Nowhere near as rich as Bret Michaels or Nikki Sixx.
No, it's kind of disappointing when you look at like their net worth, like $3.5 million. Like, what? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. But so somebody was asking, who do I prefer, Lars Ulrich or Kai something?
He says he's a triple kick master. I didn't know there was such a thing.
Dude, have you seen that Spanish dude?
He's Argentinian.
You've seen him,
he's amazing. Yeah, the muscly guy that does all the crazy stuff. Yeah.
Inhuman.
I'm good with it for 5 minutes though, and then I'm bored.
It's insane.
He does all the tricks too. He does the crazy tricks. He's got the fastest foot I've ever seen in my life. But
dude, he's incredible. Man. He really is an incredible musician.
He should join a band and put out some good music, because obviously he just bought a house from his TikTok account. Yeah, he's got like 10 million viewers. He's got a huge channel. But that's beautiful. He's turned art. We're not looking at people talking or slagging other people or being evil or being ugly. This is a guy that took his talent and actually says he's not talented. He said he's a hard worker.
He does really too, man. He does. There's a video of him where it must have taken him a lot of takes to film what he does, because the opening of the video is him beating the shit out of his floor tom. He's just slamming his fist, and then he films the video. It's like some Gloria Estefan song or some shit like that. But it's
come on, baby, do that conga.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah, people today, and that's another thing. If people had more faith in themselves, they would realize we're capable of so much more than we give our credit for. You know what I mean? People don't think they can do half the things they can.
You
gotta get up. You gotta stop waiting for somebody to float down from the sky, or for the Easter Bunny to deliver you what you need to do yourself. Exactly.
Make stuff happen for you. Make stuff happen for you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on in tonight. We hit our hour. I'm gonna close it out with some watch bullshit. If you want to stick around, you're welcome.
No, go ahead, man. I'll still watch, but you can.
So everybody, I want to thank Jay for coming on in, and hopefully that's just part one of many. I think his spiritual insight and his humanity shines through. I think he explains the inexplicable to a lot of people when they're looking for something, and it doesn't. You know, you could be sitting at the bottom of the gutter or sleeping on the subway, but it's not about that. We're not talking about spirituality that you find because you got incarcerated. We're talking about trying to find the light from within, the spirit from within, faith, hope, and a reason for being here. And hopefully our reasons for being here are for positivity and to help humankind, animal kind, and the like. So I just want to say thanks so much, Jay. And
love you, brother.
I'll talk to you soon. Oh, I love you like mad.
You got it, man. All right,
we'll talk soon. Thanks, buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah, he's great, and I love him dearly. Guys, I wanted to end the show to remind you that today is the first day that we are going to be starting the giveaway. We're giving away the land tortoise, the Seiko, and it's going to be in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks from today. Actually, I think we might do it on the Wednesday so we can have a Sheen on board for that. And this was donated by one of our beautiful patrons here, one of the people that look after us and make sure we're doing the right thing. And this could be yours. All you have to do is be a subscriber to the iBashers channel. You know, we're not going out on the Oisin O'Malley channel anymore. We're just going out on this one. So it's in order to build the brand and get more listeners and get everybody off the Oshino O'Malley channel and just over here. So we're going to be giving away this watch, and all that is required of you is to be a subscriber of the iBashers YouTube channel. And there is going to be a trivia question involved in it. And it is very simple. We mentioned it many years ago, and on when we started out. It was when iBashers was first created. So iBashers started as a podcast on the internet way before YouTube. If you could just come up with what year we said that was, and then you'll be the winner of the watch. Or we'll have to put your name in a hat and do the drawing. But I appreciate it. Just don't forget that this watch could be yours. It's going to be 2 weeks time, 2 weeks from today. And I hope you subscribe so you can win it. It's a beautiful piece and it's gorgeous. So thanks so much. Again, I'd like to thank JS for coming on the show tonight. Tomorrow night, it's going to be Asheen and I for the classic iBashers. I don't know what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about something crazy. Vince Fine Art says Jellyfish is God. Yeah, it's one of my favorite bands in the world. Everybody should know them. They're amazing. Andrew says, thanks for coming out to iBashers. Linda Christie says, great show. Russ Swag. We love you, Russ. Great bass player. So I want to thank everybody for coming on down, and we'll see you next time on iBashers. Tomorrow, don't forget, classic iBashers with Asheen and myself. See you then. Bye.